Back now on Triad Today, just about time for the roundtable, but one more shout out to the good folks at Senior Botanical Garden. SeniorBotanicalGarden.org is a website, good place to visit. Gardens better to visit. Hope you'll do that. On my right, but always political left, Ogie Overman is with us, of course, and back behind him, social distance, we held David Daggett over, and he agreed to help us out with the roundtable today. And then Keith Granberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants. Guys, let's get right to it. If passed, which I'm not sure it will be, the North Carolina Senate Bill 459 would end alienation of affection and do away with huge monetary settlements for a spouse who blames a third party for the dissolution of their marriage. You okay with this if it should pass, Ogie?
Yeah, it should. I mean, that's an antiquated law anyway. Most states have already done away with it. It's time to go.
David?
Yeah, I think it's an antiquated law, and there's some bizarre results that have occurred over the years that are based on historical circumstances that we don't recognize today. The other thing I want to correct in your question, there's not a lot of huge settlements. It's the few there are make the news.
Okay, good point.
So it's probably not as important as most people think, but it's an antiquated law. Time for
it can be important if you're the guy or gal that gets sued and you're the mistress
Yes,
or whatever.
yes.
Keith, only 6 states, including North Carolina, still allow this. Would you like to see it go away?
Well, I think it's. I think that number one, if someone is involved in a third party, there should be some settlement. I mean, I think that if you're married, you should do those vows, and if you don't, you have to pay. That's what I think. So I think it should be somewhere in the middle. Exactly.
All right. Remind me not to get married to Keith. That same bill, 459, would shorten the waiting period for a divorce. In North Carolina right now, you have to wait a year for your divorce after you separate. This would shorten it to 6 months. Good idea or bad idea, Ogie?
Oh, I'm fine with that. I mean, if you can figure out if you hate somebody in 6 months, you know.
Can you?
Sure you can.
All right.
I think the 6 months is probably good. The other thing that law changes is under the current law, if there's any intimate activity during that 1 year, the 1 year starts over. And so it can keep getting pushed forward.
You hearing this, Keith?
Well, I think if there's imminent activity during that year, you should have to wait. I mean, why are you doing that if you get a divorce? I don't understand.
We like each other but don't want to live together.
Oh man,
No,
there's just
man,
too many issues. I can't even digest
Stay
it.
away from hypotheticals.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we're going to send David and Keith out. All right, meanwhile, several Republican state lawmakers have introduced a bill that would ban gender surgery for anyone under the age of 21. Under the age of 21. Now, guys, is this good? Would this protect children or would it violate their rights? Ogie?
No, it's just another way of making trans people feel less than and ostracized and not a part of society. It's based on ignorance. These guys just don't know. If they'd ever met a trans person and got to know them, they might feel a little different about it.
Yeah, but what about, Ogie?
You know that by the time you're 21, Jim.
Yeah, but if
Trust
you're
me.
8 or 9 years old, do you need to be having...
Well, no, 8 or 9, there's a limit, sure.
Yeah, David.
Well, you're an adult. You can go to war. You can do anything else. At a young.
But this is for anybody under age of 21.
Right, and I think that I agree with Ogie on that. The other thing that's a little bit ridiculous about this is how many times does this scenario actually happen? If we're starting to pass laws for the 0.001% of the times, it gets ridiculous.
Right. Surgery for under 21?
I think you should wait. I mean, I have nieces and nephews who are 21. They don't even know which way is up.
Yeah.
Give it some time.
Yeah,
I think make
it's
a
fine.
decision.
I agree with Keith. Now, according to a new Elon University poll, 60% of North Carolinians still believe we should just let any remaining Confederate monuments and statues stay where they are. Guys, does this surprise you, the 60%? And the second question is, does that mean that 60% of us are racist? Ogie?
That doesn't really surprise me, Jim, but the thing is, if they knew, I don't think 60% of us are really racist. I think that if they knew that these monuments were constructed during Jim Crow as a testament to white supremacy, not to honor the Confederate dead. It happened 80 years after the Civil War.
Right.
They put all these cookie cutter Confederate soldiers up just to say, all white is all right.
All right, David.
Yeah, I agree with Ogie. The interesting thing is society continues to unfold and evolve as we go forward. I'm optimistic that right now we're evolving and moving forward, possibly in a positive direction. Yes, that needs some push, but there's some places where you hit with a sledgehammer and it doesn't work out as well. So I think we'll continue to evolve in a positive direction.
Keith.
I think 60% of this population need to be educated. Number one, the Confederate statues are a symbol of racism. Are there Nazi statues up in Germany? It's against the law.
It's against the law in
against
Germany.
the law.
Yeah.
And the same premise that the Nazi Germany had is the same premise that these Confederate soldiers had. So I don't understand why we're still having this conversation.
All right, the state of Florida is suing the federal government because the CDC still says it's not safe for cruise ships to set sail. The state of Florida is hurting because of this. Who wins this pandemic court battle? Ogie.
I hope the feds win, but DeSantis, I mean, he's kind of the worst of the worst. He is a bottom feeder.
But even if
there was
we
one.
don't like DeSantis or the governor of Florida, does it have merit that we need to get
It absolutely has. The suit, you can't be on a cruise ship yet. Give it a little time.
Quickly, David.
I think we're following the CDC guidelines. I think we need to do that. As far as a lawsuit, by the time this makes its way through the courts, the issue will be gone and we'll be back on cruise ships.
Quickly, Keith.
This is all political. Everybody's trying to score political points for elections. This is what this is all about.
All right, finally, guys, a North Carolina Highway Patrol supervisor who had been he was the administrator of lie detector tests, that was his job, has ironically been fired for, you guessed it, lying. He lied about an affair with a married colleague. Guys, have you ever taken a lie detector test? If so, how did you do? And if not, how do you think you would do, Ogie?
I've never taken a lie detector test, nor have I had an affair with a married colleague. So I think I'd be fine. I have no problem taking a lie detector test.
He was looking at David when he said an affair with a married colleague. David.
I have taken a lie detector test. Early on in my career when I was handling criminal cases, and a lie detector test was part of it, I wanted to see how it worked. And
How'd
so
you
I took
do?
one. I passed,
Okay.
of course.
Keith, you ever taken one?
I have. No, I'm just lying. I have not.
So I'm the only one on set who's proven to be honest.
Man,
I just lied.
I can't take it
So I
anymore.
failed that lie detector
I
test.
can't take it anymore. All right, well, that's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. Last week at the Masters Golf Tournament, pro golfer Rory McIlroy hit this horrible shot. It went wild, way off toward the spectators. He goes, 4, which means look out. 4, he says, but it goes over there and it hits a spectator in the leg. The spectator turns out to be Rory's dad. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the way we got the term forefather. Well, they can't all be winners.
It was his dad. I know. I saw it. Yeah.
See you next week.